Well, if this Friday was any indication, we just experienced one wild weekend of baseball.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. If you don't believe me, I can prove it. There's a lower third. You can call me Sully. I've been a baseball podcaster for well over a decade now, and this is my sixth full season here at the Locked On Podcast Network. And this year, I'm doing double duty. I'm giving you 5 episodes of Locked On MLB every week. And in addition, I'm giving you 5 episodes of Locked On A's. That's right. I've taken over Locked On A's for this season. And why not? Might as well say goodbye to them before they head to Sacramento. They're a fun, weird team this year. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever it's called now. And you can follow me. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. And today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at Tax Network USA. Did you know it's never too late to resolve your tax issues with the IRS? Don't wait. Reduce your tax debt and get help from a team of licensed tax professionals. Call 1-800-549-1000. Visit tnusa.com for your information. Hey, before we go deep diving, I'm not even going to cut that out from what is happening in this strange, fun weekend. Let us go over the trivia question. Let's say the trivia question I had was, what is the name of the only A's manager, Philadelphia, Kansas City, or Oakland, to manage the A's to the World Series who's not in the Hall of Fame? A couple of people guessed Billy Martin, which is a phenomenal guess because Billy Martin did manage the A's in the postseason. He has managed a team to the World Series, and he is not in the Hall of Fame. I personally would put Billy Martin in the Hall of Fame, but nobody has asked me yet. But that is an incorrect answer because Billy Martin did not lead the A's to the World Series. He got them all the way to the League Championship Series, but they didn't win the pennant. Connie Mack is in the Hall of Fame. He managed all those A's playoff World Series appearances. There was no playoff, all the World Series appearances in Philadelphia, and he should have retired in the mid-30s. If he did, the A's would still be in Philadelphia. That's a whole other podcast. Dick Williams, who managed them in 72 and 73 World Series, he's in the Hall of Fame. Tony La Russa, who managed them. Someone guessed Tony La Russa. Tony La Russa is in the Hall of Fame. He managed them in 88, 89, and 90. The correct answer, and Amy Green, who's an everyday Sully, and Scott Horsemeyer, who I'd like to see battle each other in a trivia question in a game here. Got it right. The correct answer is Alvin Dark, the late Alvin Dark, who had a fine career as a player, is the only person to manage both the San Francisco Giants and the Oakland A's to the World Series, and apparently was a big old racist, at least if you read by how he treated the Latin players he managed on the Giants and how he talked to Reggie Jackson on the A's. It's always good to alienate Juan Marichal and Orlando Cepeda. Get your Hall of Famers mad at you. All right, so enough of the past. That's the correct answer is Alvin Dark. I'll come up with a new trivia question when we get done reviewing the Sunday games. But holy cow, what a weird, wild bunch of games that were played on Friday. Let's just quickly recap them. By the way, a lot of people say they're sick of me bringing up the Mets and everything like that. I've talked about the last couple of days. Fine. They lost 14-2 on Friday. So now they are 2 games under 500 with less than a month to go to the trade deadline on the outside looking into the playoffs. I'm just stating facts. By the way, the Cubs are also on the outside looking in of the postseason. They want to correct that. And Justin Steele sure wants to correct that. He gave the Cubs, and I know this is a strange concept, but he gave the Cubs a complete game victory against the Angels. Boy, the Angels just stink. They stink with a capital stink. Okay, the first wild game of the day. The St. Louis Cardinals were down 5-bagel to the Washington Nationals. And the Nationals made so many just weird base running mistakes, people being thrown out, people going like overrunning bases, being thrown out at third in key rallies, and the Cardinals wound up getting a game-tying home run by Wilson Contreras, and the Nationals wasted a fabulous performance by Luis Garcia Jr., not the old man, Luis Garcia Jr. He wound up getting 4 hits and hustled out a grounder in a key game time rally in the 10th. And of course, they win a passed ball, not even a wild pitch, a passed ball is what brought home the winning run there. The Nats on the outside looking in of the playoffs right now. They spent 3 days in a position of a playoff spot in the middle of June, and they've been tumbling. They are now 6 games under 500. And if you're trying to make up ground, okay, and you're in that weird neutral zone, you're getting good pitching, you're getting some quality hitting, you can't be making base running mistakes that cost you a game where you had a 5-run lead. Wild win for St. Louis, who, lest we forget right now, Cardinals have been a playoff team really since the middle of June, and they're looking better and better. And that kind of win that can build up on things. The Reds have wanting to climb back into this playoff picture. They lost to Detroit. Colt Keith, what a great baseball name! Colt Keith hit a pair of home runs that were doomed the Reds. You saw the Giants play the Guardians, and it was Conforto who was Conforto and Bailey. They were the big heroes in that game. The Giants doubled up the Guardians 4-2 there. The Braves are a playoff team right now. They still have images of a division title dancing in their head. They played the Bryce Harper-less Phillies and still lost 8-6. The Phillies are so good. And the Braves are good. But they're without Acuna. The Phillies are without Harper. That evened themselves out. And there you go. The Rangers have to start making better, winning some games if they want to have any semblance of a division title or a World Series championship. What's the word I'm looking for? Defense. And the Rays are in that weird neutral zone right now. They played very well recently, but they're still at 500, and they were blanked by the Rangers 3-0. Lorenzen, remember him? He wound up getting the win. The Royals are on the outside looking in right now, behind the Red Sox, and they got doubled up. The Rockies scored 2 in the bottom of the 8th inning to win that. All right. And then the Orioles and the A's, I covered it in the Locked On A's. The A's made some stupid plays and couldn't get that tying run across. It was aggravating. Luis Castillo. Let's hear from Luis Castillo. The Mariners had slumped recently. They won a key game against the Toronto Blue Jays 2-1. The Blue Jays are a disgrace. 3 home runs by Will Smith. No, not that Will Smith. No, not the other Will Smith. And Dodgers win 8-5. All right. Then you have the Astros were up 13-5 in the bottom of the 9th inning. And the Twins rallied, including a 2-out, 2-strike grand slam that pulled them to within 1 run. The Twins scored 7 runs in the bottom of the 9th and still lost the game 13-12. That just shows, don't let the teams pile on runs. Don't let them. Shut them down. 7-run rally in the bottom of the 9th. Not enough. By the way, another huge rally in the 9th that was not enough. In the game between the Diamondbacks and the San Diego Padres, the Padres were winning in the 9th inning, and then the the Diamondbacks got a grand slam and a 2-run home run in the top of the ninth to take the lead. And then Manny Machado hit a 3-run home run, and it was a walk-off home run, or a 2-run home run. It was a walk-off home run for the San Diego Padres. So the Diamondbacks went on a 6-run rally in the ninth inning. Not enough to win the game. So you had those craziness, and you also had the Red Sox and the Yankees, where both teams just handed the game to the other team, and the Red Sox were just dumb mistakes. There were base running blunders on both sides, and the Red Sox were down 3-1 with 2 outs and 2 strikes and a runner on. They were down 2 outs and nobody on in the ninth, and they got a big, a single off of Holmes, and then Yoshida hits a game-tying 2-run home run in the ninth, and then Rafaela hits the leadoff 2-run home run because of the Manfred man, and the Red Sox wound up winning that game 5-3. The Yankees are on a 4-game losing streak. They've lost 15 of their last 20 games. They don't look good right now. And they blew a tremendous pitching performance by Nestor Cortes. Cortes was terrific, and they wet the bed. And if I'm a Yankee fan and you're looking at this trade deadline, their bats not named Soto and Judge stink. They're pitching. Cortes pitched well. I mean, they do need another pitcher, but the Yankees are playing lackadaisical baseball. They make mental mistakes. They sometimes are thrown to the wrong base or just casually throwing a ball back in, turns into a double. We're getting thrown out on the base paths. All the Red Sox have to do is split these next 2, and they'll go into Yankee Stadium and give them yet another loss. The Red Sox are creeping up on the Yankees. The Red Sox are only 3 games back in the loss column of the Yankees. Well, so we'll see what happens. That was a pretty long recap of Friday, but hey, that was such a fun night of baseball. So we're going to see what happens, what's going to happen as we look at our Saturday games coming up next. Here in Locked On MLB, we pride ourselves on getting you the latest news of the league, whether it's the offseason, the draft, spring training, or the World Series. It's year-round. You know what else is year-round? Collection seasons. Just because tax season is over doesn't mean the IRS will stop coming after you for unfiled taxes. The IRS can garnish your wages, levy your bank accounts, and even seize your property. Don't let the IRS target you. Get licensed professionals and tax expert Tax Network USA go to bat for you. I sometimes have worked for media companies where they pay you with a personal check or cash, but it's always a 1099 situation where they don't take the taxes out. And if I don't have good people like the folks over at Tax Network USA working behind me, I could get absolutely clotheslined on April 15th owing money. With more than 14 years of experience and an A+ rating at the Better Business Bureau, Tax Network USA have saved clients over $1 billion in tax debt. Whether you owe taxes, have complicated matters that require planning like my 1099s, you finally hit that parlay this season, you need help filing correctly, call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon. Be sure to mention Locked On MLB at checkout, and you'll receive $250 off their services. Tax Network USA. Have them work for you. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with more than 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you have to do is pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the PrizePicks community today. Now, you can win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. And PrizePicks is available in more than 30 states across the country, including Texas, Georgia, and right here in California. Download the PrizePicks app. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more. Pick less. With PrizePicks, It's really that easy. Hey, what's your hub? Where do you go to for sports news and takes? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories in all of sports. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channel app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. All right, let's review what happened on Saturday. The games weren't quite as wild and dramatic on Saturday as they were on Friday, but there were some big games and big performances to point out. First and foremost, native New Englander from Cohasset, Mr. Ben Rice, the pride of Massachusetts and New Hampshire. He inserted himself into the Yankee Red Sox rivalry, and he did so with a 3-homer performance. The Yankees won 14-4. That's a little bit of a misleading final score. The Red Sox were winning 4-3 at one point, and it looked like it was going to be Rafael Devers' days. He got his 1,000th career hit, and he got a home run off of Garrett Cole, a pitcher he absolutely owns. But Ben Rice said, "Hold my beer," and proceeded to do a Reggie Jackson impersonation. He had 3 home runs, and the last half of the game was all Yankees, and the Red Sox, lost the game 14-4. And hey, look, at one point, first base was a big problem, especially with the injury to Rizzo. And tip your hat to the Yankees for putting inserting a Ben Rice in there and getting some big time production. As a native New Englander myself, it's strange to see someone named Rice hitting home runs against the Red Sox, but there you go. Another big person we got to bring up is Jose Miranda. And Jose Miranda got his 12th straight hit, 12 consecutive at-bats where he got a hit. The Minnesota Twins infielder has been on an absolute rampage, was part of the near come-from-behind victory on Friday night, and he wound up getting a hit in the 4th inning, and the Twins win against Houston. Minnesota won that game 9-3. According to MLB.com, the only other hitters on record with 12 consecutive at-bats with a hit are Walt Dropo of Detroit in 1952, Pinky Higgins, look him up, terrible human being, for the Red Sox in 1938, and the legendary Johnny Kling of the 1902 Cubs. When we start bringing up people who played before the first World Series, 52, Walt Dropo, okay, that's, post-integration kind of, and there was still barely integration at that point. Pinky Higgins, 38, 1902. This is the group that Jose Miranda has joined, and that's special. That's one of those kind of strange fluke records that baseball has that you look at and say, that's just great, and it's very easy to explain. 12 straight at bats, got a hit every time, and good for him. He's big time producer for the Minnesota Twins and got a huge standing ovation when he did it, and rightfully so. Some of the other big performers on Saturday included Shohei Ohtani. Got on base 4 times, got a homer, had a stolen base. Dodgers edged the Milwaukee Brewers 5-3. It's funny, the Dodgers have an aura of not, being the dominant team, and they've had a few slumps, and Philadelphia and some other teams have overshadowed them. The Dodgers are on pace to win 98 games. The Dodgers are on pace to cruise to a division title. They could use another outfielder. They could use a little bit of tweaking here or there. But the fact of the matter is, everything is on task for the Dodgers right now. They are on pace to just cruise to another October and see where it goes. Austin Gomber pitched well for the Rocks, and that was a win. It was an important win, maybe not for the Rockies, but against the Royals. The Royals are trying to climb back into the wild card spot as they fall in a game and a half behind Boston. And with Boston getting clobbered, you would think the Royals had circled the Rockies on their calendar as an easy win. Alas, no. And Tyler Anderson pitched well for the Angels. And hey, let's hear it for the A's. Go over and listen to me on Locked On A's. The A's scored 19 runs, 19 freaking runs against the Baltimore Orioles after losing a heartbreaking game on Friday night. They kicked the snot out of the Orioles in a wild slugfest on Saturday. I wonder if the A's can actually pull it off right there. Hunter Green pitched very well for the Reds, but the Reds fell to the Tigers 5-3. Taking a look right now, I mentioned the Dodgers. We're right around the corner from the All-Star game. The All-Star game is going to be in about a week from the All-Star break starts a week from today. You're listening to this on Sunday. And a couple of teams have had up to this point what I'm calling perfect summers. As I keep track of the summer score, I keep track of the number of days a team is in a spot for a playoff position after Memorial Day. Before Memorial Day is crazy. I think after Memorial Day, you can actually start to look at the standings. And these are the teams that, as of this recording, have been in a playoff spot every single day since Memorial Day. They are the in the American League, they're the Baltimore Orioles, the Cleveland Guardians, the Minnesota Twins, the New York Yankees, and the Seattle Mariners. And in the National League, they're the Atlanta Braves, the LA Dodgers, Milwaukee Brewers, and the Philadelphia Phillies. So if you are an Orioles fan, a Cleveland fan, a Minnesota fan, a Yankee fan, a Mariner fan, a Brave fan, a Dodger fan, a Brewer fan, or a Philly fan, every single morning when you've woken up since Memorial Day, you can say, my team's a playoff team. And you can't ask for more than that. You can't ask for more than every day you wake up. So, well, if the season ended today, we're in. So that's one thing to keep in mind if you're a fan of one of those teams. But we're going to check out, see what happens. The games are going to be starting any minute now. It's the late morning on Sunday. And so we're going to see a couple of the Sunday night game is Red Sox Yankees because that's the law. I can't remember the last time the Red Sox, maybe it happened last year when it probably happened last year, but when neither team were a playoff team. We're going to see how the Mets and the Pirates do. Met fans, I'm still getting nasty texts and messages from you. We're going to leave it at that. Mets played well yesterday. And we're going to see Hurts is pitching for the Nationals, and he's pitched very, very well the last couple of days. And so there's some intriguing matchups here. And Dallas, the one I have my eye on right now is Dallas Keuchel is going up, and he's going to be pitching for the Brewers. So let's see if he can turn back time and pitch well for them. So, all right, we're going to see. Sunday games are going to be starting right around now. You know what happens. I don't. Man, I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But as the basketball and hockey playoffs wound down, we have fewer games and the sports that aren't sportsin' the way I like them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app, dream up bets at any time I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most of your summer. FanDuel is an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Hey, this is a reminder that Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Now it's available on the Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channel app. Locked On Sports Day is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channel app. All right, wrapping up the games on Sunday, here's a quick question. I've a couple of major questions to ask. It was a wild day of baseball again. You had a walk-off home run. with Christian Vasquez walking off the game with the Minnesota over Houston. That was a big fun game. Two bottom feeders, Miami and Chicago, two teams that were one was a playoff team last year, the other was a playoff team 2 years ago, and now they're two of the worst teams in baseball. Berger got a 3-run walk-off home run to win that game. Cleveland over San Francisco. Just taking a quick look at who owned baseball for the Tarek Skubal pitched great as the Tigers beat Cincy 5-1. Suarez drove in 5 runs as the Diamondbacks beat the Padres 9-1. Wazinski, is that how you pronounce his name? I've never said his name out loud. Hayden Wesneski, I think that's how you pronounce it. I've never said his name out now. Until just now, the Cubs beat the Angels, and Danny Mednick played well for the White Sox in their loss. And the Brewers beat the Dodgers 9-2. Bunch of interesting games. Are the Red Sox good? I mean, they have the best record in baseball since the middle of June. Are they good? They won the series against the Yankees, and you had a great, Cutter Crawford, who I think he pitched like 70 pitches or something ridiculously low like that. They took him out after 7. Well, they held on. Red Sox won 3-0. 2 homers by Rafael Devers, and a fantastic defensive play as well. Devers owns the Yankees. The Red Sox actually, I mean, they're. I was happy they were contending, but are they actually good now? They can pitch and they can hit. There you go. That's a deep question to ask. And are the Yankees bad? I actually heard I'm not going to mention them because it's actually a good Yankee video blog. It's not Stacey Gotsuli's on Locked On Yankees, but it's another one that I normally like, but I'm not going to give them a plug here because they were talking about whether or not Aaron Judge was clutch or not. And I wanted to sort of reach through the computer and smack him in the face. Aaron Judge and Juan Soto are the only 2 Yankees hitting, and Ben Rice, who hit all those home runs. We'll see if that's a fluke or not. The rest of the lineup for the Yankees, go up and down that lineup. LeMahieu and, Gleyber Torres is not in there right now. Rice obviously could hit the first couple of days, but up and down that lineup, Cabrera, Verdugo. I mean, nobody can hit in that lineup. And it's one easy out after another. That's not a threatening lineup at all. If I were Yankee fans, I'd be very nervous because their pitching is coming back down to earth. Although Luis Gil pitched great today. He pitched 6 2/3 innings. He only had up 1 run, and it was the first home run by Devers, which was kind of like a lazy fly ball that just didn't land. So he'll pitch very well, but the rest of the Yankee pitching staff, not very impressive. And their lineup is not very impressive. And the Yankees have not been playing very well. I don't know. We all know anything can happen if you make the playoffs. I think the Yankees are going to make the playoffs. I don't think they're a bad team, but they certainly do look like a good team today. But here's one of the main questions I have to ask. One of the wildest games that was played today was Pittsburgh versus the Mets. A wonderful pitching performance by Luis Ortiz of Pittsburgh was completely wasted today. But it was a great pitcher's duel. And then the Mets broke out and took a lead in the 8th inning. They scored a run in the 8th inning, broke a scoreless tie. And the relief pitcher for the Mets was Nunez. And Nunez got into a little bit of trouble. And then he started pitching himself out of it. Daniel Nunez. Again, first time saying some of these names out loud. And he got a key strikeout. It looked like he was 1 out away of getting out of it. And then with 2 outs, they lifted him for Diaz. And I remember thinking, wait a minute, the guy's pitching his way out of it. He just got a big strikeout. And you're going to come in and have Nunez throw a 4-out save and Diaz throw a 4-out save and immediately coughed it up. He immediately let up a 2-run single, and the Pirates were up 2-1. Okay. And then the Pirates said, hold my beer, because they handed the ball to Aroldis Chapman. Okay, I've made my personal thoughts of Chapman clear over the years. I can't be any clearer about that. But this is not about my thoughts about him as a human being. This is my thoughts about him as a late inning reliever. Why do people still hand him the ball in high leverage situations? I mean, this has been years and years and years of him coming up incredibly small in the postseason. He nearly cost the Cubs the World Series. And he blew a save in each round of the playoffs in 2016 and walked off the mound when granted, Altuve was probably covered in buzzers, but he let up the home run to Altuve. And then the next year, he let up the big home run in the playoffs that helped the Rays beat the Yankees. And it wasn't exactly special with the Texas Rangers in the playoffs last year. Chapman let up a walk-off hit to the Astros in 2017. But again, trash can. But he blew saves with Cincinnati when they were in the playoffs then. How many decades do we have to watch this guy blow big games before people start making the connection? Even right now. I mean, when you're a late inning reliever and the first number ERA is a 4, granted, the win stat and the ERA stat can be deceptive for relievers. Diaz was not charged with any of the runs. And you look at, hey, pitched an inning at third, shutout ball, got the win, must have had a great relief appearance. He didn't. But stop handing the ball to Aroldis Chapman in big situations. Good for the Mets. They got back to 500, and we'll see what happens. But it was a crazy weekend of baseball, and it was a lot of fun to watch. We got, by the way, Mets Pirates are playing a very early game tomorrow. It's 9:30 here in California. It's going to be 12:30 in New York. The game is being played in Pittsburgh. So we got a light schedule today on Monday. And the next episode we're going to do, I'm going to break down. I recorded something where I talked about my picks for the All-Star game, who my All-Star roster is going to be. Then I'm going to compare them to the actual All-Stars. So we're going to talk a little bit about the game and some of the games that were played on Monday. So before we wrap up, let's talk about the trivia question. Rafael Devers loves to hit home runs against the Yankees. 2 Hall of Famers have hit a career. 2 Hall of Famers from the Red Sox have a career number of home runs against the Yankees that are 30, that have pierced the 30 threshold. Which 2 Hall of Famers hit 30 career home runs against the New York Yankees? Put that down here. Put the answer down here in the chat on YouTube or at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter and Instagram. I'm your pal Sully at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Wild, crazy weekend. And this is one reason why baseball is the best sport there is. You don't just play one game this weekend. You got 3. Some will be playing on Monday. This has been Locked On MLB. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.